What's up? My name is Martin Anchia. I'm a proud Latino. I've been in Texas hardcore ever since late 2013, I'm gonna say. And yeah, I mean, I have a lot of memories and a lot of stories to tell when it comes to Texas hardcore, honestly. I feel like it's one of the biggest, if not actually the biggest part of my life, because my late teens until now, I've been involved in it. The first show I've ever seen in my life is when I was like 17. It was Marilyn Manson. That was a very long time ago. But the first hardcore show I've ever seen, I feel like this goes for like a lot of people who are getting into hardcore, but Terror was definitely like the first hardcore band I've ever seen. The first impression of the Texas hardcore scene, because like before I got into Texas punk and hardcore, I used to be into that little metalcore scene, so you know, that little metalcore scene wasn't really, you know, all crazy and shit like that. But when I first went to my first hardcore show, you know, I saw all the people just hate moshing and crowd killing. And I literally, as soon as I walked in, I literally got punched in the face and I got a black eye, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna have so much fun tonight. And basically that was like the beginning of a whole new, like a whole new music scene, something completely different, a little aggressive, but you know, like I like aggressive, I like crazy, you know. Top 3 hardcore bands in no particular order. I'm gonna say Captain Line, Scourge, and Holy Order. And for metal bands, I'm gonna say Iron Age, Creeping Death, and Malignant Altar. Favorite hardcore bands outside of Texas, for like the newer bands, I would say Inclination, even though they're more of a metalcore band. Never Ending Game from Detroit, those guys are fucking sick. And another band that I've been digging a lot lately, I'm gonna have to say, that's a tough one because I'm really picky with like newer bands and stuff like that. Age of Apocalypse, they're pretty good, even though they're not like that old school hardcore, but old hardcore band. I'm gonna say Integrity. Love Integrity. Integrity's always been one of my favorite bands. And then Vision of Disorder, like their first record, even though they're more of a metalcore band, but still they're like a big part of me when it comes to hardcore. And another band I'm gonna say is Irate, NYC, New York hardcore. Favorite up and coming bands? Well, they're not, I know they're not young kids, but they're like more like newer bands. But definitely Frozen Soul, I've been following them for like a very long time. They're pretty gnarly. Malignant Altar, you know, they just put out their little demo EP like not too long ago. And then Guts, shout out to Guts. The menus I missed back in the day, I do miss Black Barbie. Black Barbie was like some of the best shows I've been to, as well as Mangoes, Wired Up, The Clinic, when, you know, they had like the punk shows and shit like that. And there was this one place that I went to called Bruja Mansion. I've only been there once, but like, it was pretty gnarly. Like, I do love the vibe when I went there. I just love house shows in general. And venues that I do like now, I do like the House of J. It's a very intimate little spot. I do like Trip 6. You know, they got like the whole like culty vibe going on. And as of right now, Satellite Bars, because they are what's keeping our shows going for sure. My favorite slam dancers and moshers, I do want to go with Jason Frazier. Like that dude, he goes pretty ham, as well as Chino. He used to be called Chino Putazo, but now he's called Chino Chingazo. So shout out to Chino if you're watching this, bro. Like, you got some sick moves. And then another guy, I'm gonna say Landry. Landry's pretty, like sometimes I get a little scared every time Landry gets in the pit. I'm just like, ooh, chill. Some of my favorite shows I've ever seen, I feel like that's a pretty big question because there's so many shows that I really wish I could relive again. I do want to say the show that was right here in Wired Up, Step for Change, The Real Cost with Dress Code and Scourge. It happened all here. That was probably one of the craziest shows ever. And then Glue with Sexto and The Pose when they played at the House of Creeps. Red Death and the Flex at Black Barbie. Trapped Under Ice when they played with Gag at Walters. And I do want to say Ringworm because I love Ringworm. That's like one of my favorite bands. Every time I see Ringworm live at Walters, just like noses start to break and shit like that. And the first time I saw Power Trip at Walters when they played with Shit, Dress Code, and Back to Back. Shows that I missed that I really wish I would have gone to is when Vulgar Display played their final show in Dallas with Razzle Dazzle and Iron Age. That show would have been killer. And then Power Trip when they played with Glue and Iron Age over in Austin.
Oh yeah, back to back.
Yeah, I till this day regret missing that show because like I saw how packed it was and I'm just like, man, it would have been really nice to have seen that. And then Power Trip with Impalers and back-to-back in Austin. I really wish I would have gone to that, but you know, I have work, you know, so of course, you know, the scheduling, stuff like that was really hard. But those are some of the shows that I really genuinely regret missing, for sure. Some of my favorite clubs, I do like to go to Blurb every now and then, because a lot of my friends, they go there, as well as Numbers, Barbarella's. I do also enjoy going to Etro every now and then. It's pretty much what I gotta say about it, but shout out to Bewitched. Numbers all the way. Don't get me wrong, I like Barbarella. I do go to some of the emo nights. I do go to some of the 80s nights, but you know, they play more of that 80s radio music they use. You're in like 99.1, so I mean they do play some good songs here and there that I'll like enjoy, but I feel like Numbers is where it's at because that's where they have all like the obscure industrials and like the OG goth music.
What is Punk done for you?
Punk has done a lot for me, honestly. I feel like it really taught me to basically just not really care, honestly, about what people think about you. Because like if you go to punk shows, like some people, they just dress up however, you know, they'll wear like dirty, stained clothes, you know. I love that kind of stuff, you know, because they just don't care. You know, they don't care about the image, you know, they don't care about how people look at them and how people judge them. And I don't know, I feel like it taught me to be more of a rebel when it comes to like just not giving a fuck, you know, just go stupid, you know. It's like you're young now, so you know, it's fun. I think it's pretty fun to just do stupid things, you know, that maybe not get you in trouble, but you know, it's a story to tell. That's what punk taught me, as well as you know, just looking out for each other. You know, we're all friends. You know, I know there's a lot of people that I don't really talk to because I personally don't really talk to people at shows that much. But you know, nobody's ever too cool to talk to you. You know.
So, any some of these, just go ahead and tell us like what you think of each one. Maybe it's like not specifically about the cassette, but maybe just more about the band.
This is the Dress Code. Actually, Dress Code was actually one of the first Houston punk bands I've ever seen live. And it was when I saw them with Power Trip. And then I managed to go see them again with like a Badass Weekend when they played with Back-to-Back and Common Ignorance, which I really do miss that band. They were pretty hard. Dress Code played some of the craziest shows I've ever been to, honestly, when it comes to like Houston punk. Like their energy is just like unbelievable. You know, if I could relive everything that Dress Code has ever put me through, like I would do it in a heartbeat, honestly. Scourge, I think this album is really good. It reminds me of like the older metal bands like Celtic Frost. Yeah, like it has like a very Celtic Frost vibe to me, like a very heavier Celtic Frost vibe to me on their first record. But the first time I saw Scourge, I can't really remember when I saw Scourge. I do remember one time seeing them in the Tom Alderson benefit show with Drowned. I thought their set was like the meanest set I've ever seen ever. Like, just their music and their energy just really stuck out to me. Like, people were just like killing each other when I remember that show. And I try to like introduce myself to the guys, you know, I'm like, hey, you know, they seem like really cool dudes, you know. Seth, I looked at some of his band. I paid attention to some of the band merch that he wore, you know, because I saw him wearing some Cold as Life merch, some like 90s hardcore merch, and you know, I immediately went home and like started like searching that. So shout out to Seth because you know he has showed me. Without him, you know, I wouldn't know a lot of the bands that I know now because of him, as well as Jacob too. But yeah, Scourge, like for anybody, like if you really want to be heaviest bands in Houston, I would say Scourge. I recommend Scourge. Overload of Natural Energy, 1. I saw these guys play at Summer Breeze for the first time not too long ago in 2017. And I really like their music, especially for the song, what you might call it, Unperson. It's like a very Joy Division, post-punk vibe. But their other songs, they're just very like, really fast, you know, they're very riffy, you know, like, you know, I really like the vibe that these guys give off when I see them play. Like, their shows are just crazy. Love these guys. This is a Ministry record, Psalm 69. I was never too big of a like a metal Ministry fan, but this is the record that I listened to by Ministry, as well as I forgot the name of the previous. I forgot the name of the album, but anyways, this is the only metal Ministry album that I listened to. I mainly listen to like their Wax Tracks era or their With Sympathy synth pop era. You know, basically a lot of the stuff that you hear at Numbers, you know, that's mainly the Ministry that I grew up with. But this record's pretty good. I do recommend it. You know, it wouldn't be like the first Ministry record that I would recommend people. Institution. I actually saw these guys at Summer Breeze when they played at the Satellite Bar. I feel like this record itself, it's just a really good record, honestly. Like, it's like nothing really that I listen to. It's not the type of punk that, you know, I know, if you know what I mean. Like, it sounds pretty obscure, and, you know, I have this in cassette in my house. I listen to it every now and then when I get the chance, but, you know, I do recommend this album right here. This is a really good record if you're into all that, like, DIY, DIY recorded, produced punk, you know. The songs are pretty sick. Nightmare Logic by Power Trip. Honestly, I feel like when this record came out, I literally waited like crazy for this record to come out. And as soon as this record came out, like, I had it on repeat like non-stop. It's such a great album for people who love like old school thrash metal. You know, they have like that very groovy like riffs, and, you know, it's really crunchy, you know. But rest in peace, Riley Gale. This guy was literally the king of Texas hardcore. Like, he literally did some of the best shows I've ever been to in my life, honestly, because I went to the show when they played at the shop, as well as I've even traveled to Austin and San Antonio, as well as Dallas, to go see them live, you know. They're definitely one of my favorite Texas hardcore metal bands of all time. You know, my condolences to him, his friends, his family. You know, it's really sad. You know, I miss that guy every day. You know, like, I don't really have too many memories with him. You know, I have talked to him personally, had some small conversations, but he always recognized me every time I came up to him. And he was always such a very humble dude. I could tell he got a little too lit because, you know, he's just really like every time he talks to me, he's just really mellowed out. You can tell that he's kind of like exhausted, a little tired, but, you know, he's always still going to talk to you. He's always still going to be humble and conversate with you and give you time. So, you know, miss you, Riley.
Yeah, that should end it, man. Appreciate it.
All right, man.
Thank you very much for coming out.
Yeah, for sure.
Scene one, Apple, take two. Bitch!